hit Aiden, I'm sure. But so I can hit my son if I want to.
Hey, your students are tearing up things and eating stuff in the nets.
They are.
Specifically,
I'm never going to be able to control them from breaking their pencil. That's a 7th grade thing.
I will beat those.
All right, I'm about to trip.
That's why we don't have best guest here.
Yeah, next year when I can spread out, it'll be a lot nicer. All right, quiet, please. Let's get going here.
Are you kidding? What is all of this?
It's just all right, quiet, please. All right. Any questions? You weren't here. Any questions on the homework?
Do I still have to?
Hey, guys. Thank you. Any questions on the homework?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Do I have to turn that in?
Well, I mean, you get 2 days or so.
Okay, 2 days.
You won't need 2 days. You'll have it done by then.
I'll do it during essay and I'll do homework.
That's what I'm saying. I have no doubt. All right. Let's turn the volume enough. You're supposed to have, Chris, your homework in front of you so we can go over this. There really are no questions. It was that easy? All right. Let's take a look at number 24. 24. For those of you taking German next year, when you get to numbers above
9, spine.
when you get to numbers above 12, Germans count, they say their numbers backwards. So, I mean, 8 is 8, right? But when you get to 28, the German would call that 8 and 20.
What? I hate that. With passion.
So
what's 82?
2 and 80. So they would say 82. That's 2 and 80.
Okay, now I'm thinking of go to Spanish now.
I don't know. Anybody speak Spanish?
No.
How do you say 28?
Yeah, I don't know.
So do they say the same thing? So they say 8 and 20?
No, I don't say that's 28.
So 20 and then ocho or something? I don't know. I don't speak Spanish. I can say, where's the beach? And that's about it.
Say it.
Donde está la playa?
Look at this
Where's the
resume.
milk? Okay, I speak a little bit of Spanish. Not much. I would never consider myself. All right, now that I've gotten us all off track, and Riley's giving me the evil eye here to get back on track. What was the question? Time out. Number 24, yes. All right, so 24 got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to say this one time, and this is the second time I said it. Yesterday I said I would do this. We're going to find out who's not paying attention. On the test, look at me. I'm going to give you a fraction of this long, and it's going to be to the what power? If you're the person that's not paying attention, you're going to do all that work, and I'm going to laugh at you. Right? All right. Number 24 is a big honking parentheses, but it's not to the 0 power, it's to the -3. And it says it's a fraction. It says 3 to the 0 times 2 all over 2 to the -2. Lots of ways to do this. I'm kind of like an inside-out person. Other people look at that -3, they're like, I'm going to distribute this -3 to everything, and that's fine. Other people are like, no, I'm going to flip it first and then distribute. Me, I'm inside out. But I don't think there's a best way. There's just whichever way you like. For me, I'm going inside out. 3 to the 0 is not 0. 1. 1 times 2 is
2.
So I'm going to get a fraction with 2 on the top. 2 to the -2 goes where? It goes to the top because it's negative. Remember, when you ever have a negative exponent, it moves things. From the top, it moves to the bottom. From the bottom, moves to the top. Hey, guess what? I got no bottom on my fraction anymore. But it is to the -3. All right, I'm still doing inside out. Hey, this is really 2 to the 1st, right? Multiplication rule says do what with the exponents? So 1 plus 2 is? And I get 2 to the 3rd to the -3. Power to power, what's the rule? 3 times -3? So I get 2 to the negative 9. What's that make me do? Not
Wait,
multiply.
what did
This makes me move it. Where is it right now? So it goes to the, now 2 to the 9th is a big number. I don't know if the book has you multiplied or not. They do. It's 512. So the final answer is, that would move to the bottom. And 2 to the 9th is 512.
1 over 512.
It's 1 over 512. That is one of many ways of doing it.
wait, I'm confused.
You should be, because you didn't get to class yesterday. Hey, in the back of the classroom, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Yes.
No, you're not. All right. Anyone else? All right, let's grade this. Here we go. Now, I apologize for all math people by saying that there are no hard, fast rules of 2 to a power. I mean, some math books would have left it as 1 over 2 to the 9th, right? Sometimes you multiply, sometimes you don't. I will never mark you wrong if you leave it as 1 over 3 to the 2nd power. Okay? And technically 1 over 9 is what they want you to write. The only issue is as we go higher level of math, typically some things will cancel. So just follow it through to see if something cancels. But if you're down to just 1 over something to a power, yeah, you're perfectly fine leaving it. I don't care if it's 1 over 2 squared. Okay, really that's 1/4. But if it's very the last part of the problem and you don't multiply it through, I mean, I think it's a silly rule that says, well, there is no rule. It's like sometimes you multiply, sometimes you don't. All right, number 1 is 1/5.
Wait, no, we're doing even.
2, sorry. Number 2 is 1/4. Number 4 is 1/4. Number 6 is not 1/4, it's 1/64. Number 8 is 1/8. Number 10 is 1 over 81. Number 12 is 1 over 6. So those are the easy ones. Number 14, 1 over 9. Number 16 is 64. Did anybody put 4 to the 3rd power? I mean, that's 64. Okay. Number 18 is 6. Number 20 is 9. I like number 20. It will be on the test. Number 22 is 1. There's exactly what I'm talking about. There's a whole lot of math there. It's to the 0 power. The answer is 1. Now, just be careful. Just because one thing inside there is to the 0 power doesn't turn the whole thing into 1. But when the outside parentheses of everything is to the 0 power, yeah, the whole thing turns to 1. Right? Number 24 is 1. We just did it. 1 over 512. Number 26 is 16 over 25. And number 28 is 6 over 7. And that's it.
Oh.
All right. Today, we are going to be doing much more challenging ones than those. By challenging, it's just more stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean harder. More challenging only because there's more stuff. There'll be more stuff that cancels. There'll be more stuff that you actually got to apply the rules to. So all we're going to do today, the day that I dread for this class, which is I'm going to do a quick review, and then I'm going to hand out a worksheet that I want you to do in class so that I can walk around and give you help. Rowan, tell me what I expect you to do.
The worksheet.
Okay, Landon, after you sweep my floor, you and Rylan at the end of class.
Throwing paper under my desk.
Before that time, okay, so are you going to admit you did all that?
Yeah.
Okay, so then Landon, you're off the hook, Rylan, you're sweeping
there
the
was a
floor.
few scraps there before I.
No, there were a couple, but you're going to sweep the floor.
Okay,
All right. Landon, tell me what my expectations of you today are.
To behave and not talk.
No, way more than that.
Behave and not talk.
When I hand out the worksheet, what's my expectation?
You just sit down, do your work, and ask for help.
Shut up, you're not
But you're not Landon.
You called me, Landon.
I have called you Landon before, yes.
listening.
Chris, what's my expectation?
Sit down and ask questions when you need help.
Sierra, is this something you're going to be capable of doing, or do I need to move you someplace else when I have to work?
Move her by me. She would not talk to me at all.
Hey, most classes I don't do this with, but you guys don't know how to manage your time.
That's
If I
good.
give you, it's not free time, but if I give you time to work on a worksheet, that's the expectation. It's not, well, this is homework, I'll do it at home, or, well, I did 2 of them, that should be good enough. It's to work until the bell rings. You get it done, well, then we'll talk about what you can do with your free time then. But it shouldn't be me having to crack the whip every single day when I give you some time. This doesn't happen often. Today's just a review, right? I'll review the 3 rules. We'll do a couple of the more challenging ones. It'll be the same slides as yesterday, right? But I need you guys to really work this through. The big scheme of things for this chapter, right? We're on the easy stuff, right? It's just a couple rules. You just got to apply them. There's no like weird stuff going on. It's just standard straight rules. This should be easy stuff once you understand the 3 rules. What's up?
So is the worksheet the homework if you don't finish it, or
Correct. And I fully expect most of you. I mean, Brandy will be done in 10 minutes, right? But the rest of you will take a bit longer than 10 minutes. If Anna didn't draw flowers on her paper and didn't have perfect handwriting, she'd be done in 10 minutes, right? But I mean, I think those are my 2 fastest workers in class. But the rest of you guys, I mean, I don't need to worry about Riley. She'll work, but she'll take longer than 10 minutes. The rest of you, when you're working, right, it's fine. It's just when you're not working, it's not fine. All right, Rowan, all your teachers said yesterday you were the perfect kid. Right? Did you like get invaded by body snatchers on your holiday break?
I went skiing.
There's a famous movie called Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right? It's aliens that come to Earth, and they put it's kind of hilarious. They put these giant bean pods, right? And inside the bean pod is an alien, and then they put it next to sleeping people, and then the alien comes out of the bean pod and goes into the body and takes over your body, right? So whenever we say invasion of the body snatcher, it just means that someone who shows up and is very different than what they were the day before.
No.
He doesn't remember.
Or the facility.
Well, exactly. If you were taken over by an alien, you wouldn't remember. But everyone was like, "Oh yeah, right. Rowan was really good yesterday."
Rowan is really well in Latin.
In every class.
He does good.
Well, all the teachers, we eat lunch together, upper school teachers, so they all had the same opinion. All right, so it wasn't just me. And you were very good yesterday. All right, so I'm just going to skip to the more important parts of the slides. I should have done this a different way, but I didn't. Which was the 3 rules.
How can I collect?
Hold on, I'm going to collect after because I want to talk to everybody. Oh, this would be much easier if I just click to the right one.
Hey.
Okay, here we go. Right here. All right, so these are the same slides, so there's no handout. I'll hand you out the worksheet. So the homework tonight's going to look something more like this. All right, you got 3 basic rules. You got the rule for multiplication, you got the rule for power of power, and you have the rule for division. Chris, the rule for multiplying. When you have same bases, what do you do with the exponents? When you do power of power, what do you do with them? And when you have division, we got the adding rule, we got the multiplying rule, and we got the subtraction. Okay, if you don't have those straight in your head, they need to be in front of your face on a piece of paper, right, with an example. Hey, A is not the same as B. These are not common bases. There's nothing that we can do here other than move negative exponents around. So the rule is when you have negative exponents, they move positions. If they start on the top and they're negative, they go to the bottom. If they're on the bottom, they go to the top. They swap positions. So notice I got a negative. I can't multiply A times B because they're not the same letter. They're same variable. So all we do is B is on the top. You're like, what do you mean top? I mean, this is really a fraction. I just chose not to write it over 1. So all we do is move any negative fraction to the other position. If it's on the bottom, we move it to the top. If it's top, we move it to the bottom. So are there any negative exponents?
Yes.
It goes to the bottom and you're done.
That's it?
That's it. Now, here is the math behind that. Remember, I showed you all this yesterday, and I said, do we actually do this?
No.
I said, no. We go from the start to the answer. But here is the math that allows us. The fact that all of this means multiplication. The fact that b to the negative 2 really means 1 over b to the 2nd power. And the fact that when you multiply them all straight across, you get that.
What's the point of doing that, though? Why can't you just leave
Because
it?
I can't literally say, oh, magically, here's the rule. Trust me, I'm right.
No, but like, why would you change it in the first place?
We don't want any negative exponents. We want everything to be positive. Okay? All right.
Why do we do this? Like, who just thought, oh, we can't have that? Like, I'm just.
Well, eventually what you want to happen is you want things to cancel, right?
No, but like, who just thought of all of this? You know what I mean? Like, who just thought, oh, this is the equation I'm gonna pick. I don't know.
I left
why,
my phone in my car. You got your phone on you?
Yeah.
Are we putting this in?
Wait, are you gonna say it for me?
No, it's in your bag. Yeah.
What are you
No,
trying
I
to
just
do?
want to see your phone.
Okay.
Here.
No, this isn't a trick. It was going to be, but if you had reached it about, okay, who invented this stuff?
Jesus.
No, it actually, as the story that I've been told, it was somebody's wife.
Right?
And it was the wife of a guy that worked at a company called Motorola. When I was born in '65, they had cell phones way back then. They came in a huge honking box.
I've seen like.
And it was
videos
like,
of
you know
this
what a
and they're
briefcase is?
Yeah.
I remember the first one I ever saw because my father's best friend was a lawyer, and the guy was really rich, and he drives up in his car one day and he had his suitcase or his attaché case. And we're like, wow, that looks so cool. He goes, oh no, it's a phone. And so he opens it up, and sure enough, we were talking about a briefcase. He opens up, and inside the whole thing was a phone. It wasn't.
Is that the one that give you brain radiation?
Probably. And there was a little antenna he had to set up. But anyway, so as the story goes, the people that worked at a big company called Motorola, one of the guy's wife said, you know, honey, can't you make this stupid phone that's so large a nice, tiny, small thing? And he was like, oh, I don't know if I can. Now, when you look at what they came up with, I mean, it's the size of a shoebox, but it's smaller than a briefcase.
I've seen
Right.
videos of it. Like, there's.
I guess the point is that when you ask questions like, what is all this good for? The ultimate answer is, this is what the math is. It's
I know,
cool
but who
stuff.
came up with it? Who figured out?
Ah,
you know
So
what I
you
mean?
tell me who sits around at night thinking about technical problems? Engineers, right? No, I do occasionally, but there are a certain segment of the population that's where their interest. Who comes up with cool songs? The people who that's where their interests are, that sit around all the time thinking about who comes up with fashion. The people that sit around like, oh, what would look good? Do we all think about that stuff? Absolutely not. I mean, I wager to say that most of you don't think about how does the little screen work on your phone.
I do.
I think about that. I'm like, I want to know how it works, right? But if the question is, what is the stuff good for? Ultimately, math is good for building things and explaining things, right? Everything in the universe,
If I try
and
to
I'm
think
not
about life,
going
I would
religious
start
here, but
crying.
everything in the universe that has a physical property, when we want to explain it, we always reach for math, right? We don't reach for anything other than math.
So like
Right.
math is basically the mother of all of this. Like she's the one to go
So
cry.
Pythagoras said that, you know, numbers rule the universe, right? And
I'll
what
show
he
you
meant,
the
and what he meant by that is that if you want an explanation of why things are, there's always a math explanation. As human beings in the 21st century, we don't accept anything as proof unless it can be mathematically proven. Like we don't accept anything unless you can prove it using math.
I saw an alien
Right.
once.
All right, back up here.
2 + 2.
Okay, so Josie, same problem. Once again, the explanation of why it works is not what's required, just the execution of the process. Are there same exponents? It's like, is this an x? Is that an x?
Would it be 2y squared over x?
To what?
2y squared
Over.
x.
And that's all we did for the easy ones. And yes, this what, guys,
Well, how did you simplify it though? Like
Well-
all these have like.
the rule is that all of these are attached through multiplication. And any negative exponent, it flips position, top to bottom, bottom to top.
Mhm.
And then once that's written, well, to multiply fractions, everything has to be a frac. I mean, this part is the explanation of what works. Like I said, no one does this, but this is what allows you to go from yellow to yellow.
But none of these answers have exponents, not exponents, variables.
You're going to see the one I'm about to hand out does. Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm about.
So
to-
once again, if it has a negative exponent, it moves position. So where is it right now?
On the bottom
So where is it going to move?
to the top.
Is there anything left on the bottom?
No.
No, so it's just 2 times x to the 5th. Once again, that middle part is just the explanation of why it works. All right. What's the answer?
It would be. Yeah, what you said.
And that's the answer. Okay. Now, it gets more complicated when we apply the 3 rules of exponents, and this is where we'll wrap it up. The 3 rules which Chris told me already. He said the first rule is called, well, technically it's called the multiplication rule. That means when you have common bases and you're multiplying, what do you do with the exponents?
Add 'em.
It's the paradox one. Hey, the rule for multiply doesn't say to multiply, it means add. The rule for power to power looks like this. It's a power raised to another power is. And then the last one is the division rule. What do we do? Top minus bottom of the exponents. Now, when you encounter this today, right, there's multiple ways of doing it, right? I'm always simplify the middle part and then apply the power to power rule. But you're going to be dealing with positives and negatives. So don't forget, negative times a negative is a positive. Don't forget, occasionally you're going to be adding and subtracting. You could be subtracting a negative. That would be minus minus, right? If you do division and the bottom, the denominator's exponent is negative, that would be m minus minus n. It can happen. 2 negatives turn into a positive. So all of that together, this is what your homework will look like, just a bit more complicated. Hey, they're all 7s. Lots of ways of doing it. I'm going to just go simplify top, simplify the bottom. -2, well, what's the power?
1.
So that's a -2 plus 1 gives me, where do the negatives go? But if you look at this one, it's the same thing, top and bottom.
Times 7, once you do,
Say again?
I would just think that you do 7 to the -2 times 7. Like you would do
Well,
7.
Yeah, that's what I did. But remember that rule says to add the exponents. So I did. -2 plus 1 is -1.
And then you would just.
Other people, another way of looking at this one would be, hey, I have negative exponents, so what could I do? I could flip them. If I move that to the bottom and that to the top, I'm going to get 7 to the -1 times 7 for the 1 there. All over, and that's positive, sorry, 7 squared. See what I did? I just flip-flopped these two.
Yeah.
1 plus 1,
Couldn't you do 7 times -2? Would
and I
be-
get 7/2 over 7/2, which is still 1.
Couldn't you do 14 times 7 because 7 is -2?
You can't multiply the bases, ever. Now, you could, 7 to the first power is 7, right? You could do that, but boy, it gets messy, because these won't be like to the first power always, they'll back you to the 13th power. You don't want to be messing around with that. Okay, so that's kind of like a, I don't know, an easy one. They'll get a little bit harder tonight for homework. Sometimes you'll be multiplying 3 things together, okay? Once again, you have options. You can move the negatives first. You can wait. If I wait, then I'm doing -2 plus 5. Negative moves to the top. So that would be 3 to the 3rd times 3 to the 4th, which is 3 to the 7th. Or we could use the division rule. The division rule says this minus this. See what I'm saying? You got options,
Oh, okay.
and 2 negatives turn into a,
Positive.
so you still get 3 to the 7th.
Oh, okay.
So I usually see everyone does it lots of different ways.
And we don't have to solve it all the way.
Say again?
If you subtract
2 negatives turn into a,
No, the next one.
this one?
Yeah.
So
Oh, never mind.
if I use the division rule, 3 minus 4. If I don't want to use that, I just want to move this to the top, right? If I moved it to the top, it would be 3 to the 3rd times 3 to the 4th, because when it moves to the top, it becomes positive. That's still 3 to 7. Right, lots of options. Sorry, Nathan, I wasn't throwing it at you. Here's another way, right? At the very start, if I just want to move that to the top and that to the bottom, I can. I get 3 to the 9th over 3 to the 2nd, but 9 minus 2 is still 7. Lots of options. All right. Who was it yesterday? Was it Sierra said do the inside, or was that Ari?
Yeah.
All right. You can simplify the middle if you want to first. There's lots of options, right? For any which way you want to distribute. Did I do it that way? I did. Okay, so if we distribute it, 3 times -2, 3 times 4, negatives move to the bottom, or you could do subtraction rule, -6 minus 12,
No, 6.
-18, right?
Yeah.
Negative 6 minus 12 will be negative 18.
Oh, yeah. My brain-
Negatives live on the bottom,
Yep.
right? So 1 over x to the 18th. If you didn't like that, move it to the bottom. Then it would be x to the 12th times x to the 6th. That's still 1 over x to the 18th. Or from the very start, we could have reduced. Minus 2 minus 4. So we would get x to the negative 6 to the third power, negative 18. Okay. Or, okay, this is too many ors. Move that to the bottom, x to the 4th times x squared, x to the 6th.
So one way, so we just have to go.
Yeah, and I can't help it. There's just lots of different ways of doing this. The nice thing is, if you're comfortable with the rules, it ain't that bad. All right, here's what we're gonna do.
Come pass them out.
I'll
We're gonna
collect
pass this
homework.
out, and we're gonna let a couple people. How many?
I'll collect homework.
There are 18 problems. So what? We'll say 3.
I'll
Wait
collect.
a minute. You said that I
Good.
I'll collect.
We'll do 3 of them as a class, and we will let who gets to pick.
Me.
Me.
I
Rowan,
should pick. I wasn't here.
Josie, Rowan, and
Me.
Kaylee.
Kaylee. All right.
I'm haunted.
So Josie,
Are we collecting homework?
I will collect it here in just a second. Let me get this. Did I
Can
close that
collect it,
down?
Please, since you took away my check.
I did close it down. All right, give me a second, e-learners. I'll get this up. And I want those who choose to choose what you think are the ugliest of the ugliest of the ugliest problems, so that we can give everyone. And by the way, you have the answers, so you can already see what they are. This is 7.9b. 7.9b. All right, let me share this with my Zoomers. All right, who's picking first?
Rowan.
Kaylee, go ahead, pick, go. Let's look at 15. Now, the answers are in the back. You can already see it. All right. So, Kaylee, there's lots of options here. Okay, and it can go lots of different ways. So, I'll guide you in this sense. For me, I try to reduce right from the very start. Of everything up here, only 2 of them are alike. Which 2 are alike? The Y's are alike. I got 4 on the top, 2 on the bottom. That leaves me with, if you want to do the subtraction rule, 4 minus 2 is still positive 2. So after subtraction or the canceling, I've got negative 3 on the top, negative 4 on the bottom. I've got x to the negative 1. And a lot of people do many steps at once. So don't panic if you're like, well, I would probably do it differently. You're probably right. And then y squared. Kaylee, good on that first step? You good on that first step? Okay. Hey, I got x to the negative 1. Where's that go? Kaylee, I got a negative 3 over a negative 4. What's a negative divided by a negative? So the negatives will go away, and you'd be left with 3 over 4. Negative divided by negative is positive. You told me x goes to the bottom, and you told me y squared stays on the top. And ladies and gentlemen, or germs, we are done. There you go. In red are the answers. Questions? And yes, I'm writing with my fingers, so bite me if you hate my handwriting. It does look pretty bad.
It's not that bad. No worse than my act.
Buy me a pad that I can write on with a pen or something.
Just get an Apple.
Yeah, Mrs. Riki, I believe is her name. She has an iPad, and I've been thinking about bringing it in, but
I've told you that like 5 times to do
And
it.
then buy an Apple
You never
Pencil,
listen
so
to me.
it's just.
oh yeah, I like that idea. All right, sorry, Rylan, for ignoring you. All right, who's Rowan? You get to choose. What number are we doing?
18.
Let's take a look at 18.
Why did you choose that one? Though?
It just looks weird.
Rowan, there's lots of options. I'm going to let you choose what you think you would like to do. And it doesn't matter. The 2's canceled. Do you everybody see that right from the very start? Check it out. 2 divided by 2 is, it's gone, cancels.
And the X's and the Y.
The X's and the Y's don't because there's different numbers. But,
You can reduce
okay, well, how would you do that? Okay, so he's going to do subtraction. So he's going to say, we'll do the X's. So there'll be X to the negative 4 minus negative 3.
Would be -1.
There's a lot of negatives running around there.
Would it be -1?
So the 2 negatives turn into a positive. So it would turn into X to the negative 1. So where would that live? On the bottom. And I'm not going to put a 1. I'm just going to put an X. Are we okay with the X's, everybody? Okay, Rowan, now what? We're going to do the same process for the Y's. So that would be Y to the negative 2. It doesn't because they're not the same. One's negative, one's positive. Minus 2. Now, why wasn't it 2 negatives? Because this 2 is positive. So where would that live? So Y to the 4th power on the bottom. What's left on the top? So we always put a 1 if there's nothing. And there you go. There's your answer. Ding, 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 ding. 1 over X, Y to the 4th. There's the answer in red.
Can we do 16?
Yeah, 16.
Josie, choose last because it's the last one we're choosing.
I know, I wanted to do 16 here, but fine.
No,
I would say pick one in parentheses too because we haven't done one in parentheses.
We did do one.
Well, we did one on class, but are you sure you want 16? It's your choice. I don't care.
I just don't know how to do. We didn't do one with a negative on the outside.
All right.
Yeah. Do 16 and 12.
Do you want me to make you feel bad? The answer is just negative. That's it.
Oh, never mind then.
It's
Let's do-
subtract this.
Please, let's do 10.
I mean 12.
12, yeah, 12.
All right, 12. Is there anything that we can simplify on the inside?
No.
Some people might say, well, I could put the X on the bottom. Now, this is just a different way. If you want to see that, that's fine. Other people would say, let's distribute the negative 2 to everything on the inside. Yeah? All right, let's do that. So let's distribute that negative 2 to everything. Now, what's the power of 2 right now as it sits? What's the power of 1 right now as it sits? All right, now we can distribute. All right, so distribute 2 to the, oh no,
Is it negative?
power of power says multiply.
-1.
-2. We're not adding, we're multiplying.
And then y to the negative 2.
And then y to the negative 2
And then x to the 8.
to the positive 8. And then all we have to do is move things around so that everything's positive. 2 goes to the what? Top or bottom? It's negative 2.
Bottom.
And really 2 squared is
Negative
4.
Sorry, 4.
Right? Everybody following that? The y to the negative 2 would also go to the bottom and become positive. And then x to the 8th stays on the top and you're done. And I will insult your intelligence and just say they're all that easy if you know what you're doing. None of them are that challenging. Follow the rules. There's lots of different ways of getting to that answer. We could have moved that x to the 4th to the bottom at the very start and then to the negative 2. We gave it a negative 8, then it would move to the top and become positive 8. I like your method of distributing. I would have also probably chosen that method. I don't think it's easier. It's just, I don't know. There's less fractions to write that way. Maybe that makes sense. Okay. Do I have any live e-learners? I do not. All right. For the rest of you, we had the conversation at the start of class about working. So I'm not talking, it has to be a silent room, right? But what I'm saying is that when I look out upon people, there's got to be work going on, right? And usually there's not. When I say, hey, now get started in the worksheet, ask questions. You do have the answers in the back. Look at that first before you call me over, unless you're completely, totally lost, right? But if you're not completely, totally lost, give it a shot. Get to your answer and then look at the answer and like, why did they put it on the bottom? Oh, it was negative. Half the time you can figure it out yourself, but you can't absolutely call me over. We got what, 10 minutes of work? Let's do 10 minutes of work and we'll stop. I will. Not the negative 4. That's exponent. So for me, I just write a big long fraction. And then whatever positive stays on the top, whatever negative goes on the bottom. I just literally write from left to right. Everything that's positive goes on the top, everything that's negative. Keep the 3 on the top. Okay. all the numbers will stay on top. And remember that be a negative 4. So 3 times negative 4, you could have looked at it and say 3 times negative 4. Usually people end up doing multiple steps at once. Anything you good to get started? Yeah. Okay. Did I step on your stuff?
No.
Okay. What's anything to the 0 power?
Well, I'm looking for one actually. I didn't get
Okay. So there's lots of different ways of doing it. For me, I draw a long fraction bar.
That's good.
Anything that has a negative exponent goes to the bottom, becomes positive. But 3 is not. It doesn't have a negative.
Oh, I thought you did anything attached to it.
No, just the thing.
Oh, and then you would time it.
Yes.
That's the only thing I had trouble with.
And 3 times negative 4, even though it's negative 12, doesn't move to the bottom. It just stays at the top of negative 12. You're already done. How many did you get wrong when you're going? Are you figuring out why you got them wrong? Okay. Are you good?
What's 3 plus 5?
This is the one that.
3 plus 5 Too big.
And then you gotta remember the rule of odd number inside, negative number.
Did your mommy see one
I'm
else?
gonna show you how I would do it.
Good
For
job.
me, I would start off with big long fraction. Because we know something's gonna live on top, something's gonna live on top. So let's start with a fraction. I'm gonna immediately put anything that has a
Stop breathing so
negative on the top, everything has a negative on the bottom. And when I put it on the bottom, I'll make it positive.
I got it right.
So that's me. Other people would say, I want to do the multiplication rule first, which I think you were doing. And that's perfectly fine too. And you can do it that way too. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, yeah, that can happen. So now I'm just going to look at the top. Notice they're all B's. And the rule for multiplication says, right, and besides, the rule for multiplication says to be what with power. So
How many
plus 3 plus 3.
people does it take to
So
live?
I get a squared.
So in every like 320.
So this time it's going to be a shorter bracket bar. Probably going to take 3 days.
320.
And then on bottom, we can kind of do it.
You
4 and 4 is not
want a new car.
Like to pay all those.
You're not supposed to know that. You're not supposed to know that.
For some reason,
Just so it's
was 3 yeah, but what's the X mean?
What?
In this case,
Stop throwing your fit.
I would be moving by 1.
Coconut.
Okay, no, 4 is negative, but it's not the exponent. The exponent of A. The top stays on top. So the only time you move one is when something is negative. On bottom is top, top is top. This really just becomes negative.
No.
I think I said Tristan. So now we look to the. On the top. The only change you make, you're done. As long as you get everything else correct. I can check the first one.
Oh my gosh.
I can check the first one. We do have, I can check the first one. So A stays on the top.
Okay.
Wait.
Oh, yeah. That's the last thing my son first got.
So trying
Ew, what is
this
that?
one.
It's like.
You know how to do number 7?
Yeah, I already did it.
Can you help me?
With.
Number 7.
What's up?
With.
Which one?
That's
So do you want to simplify the inside or just want to three the inside? Okay, so what? 3 times 1? That's why you wrote -6. That's wrong. It's -2. 2 to what power? 3 times 1.
Oh, are you not doing it to that?
I'm not. I'm doing it
I'm not.
I'm only doing it to the exponent.
Oh, okay. So it would be -2.
To the, yeah, and then it would be to the, well, it's 0. And anything to the 0 power is, so the answer isn't 1, but it's not b to the 1 power, it's still b to the 0 power, or u to the 0 power, but anything to the 0 power is 1.
Let me show you. So on these, we're not doing like a top and a bottom, we're just separating out numbers and letters. That's
You
all.
wrote it like you
So first look at your numbers. So you have 3
I just do it
times
the
the
negatives.
negative.
And I don't mean that negative, I mean the negative exponent.
Well, you have a negative.
Yeah, because
So
what's
start
negative
first with your
to,
numbers, right? Negative.
what's 2 to the 3rd power?
Okay, that takes care of your numbers.
And then put a negative in front of it. That's what
Now
the
we're gonna
answer
look at
is,
your A.
right?
You're gonna add or subtract all the exponents with negative 2.
Landon, you working?
Yes.
That's how you get 64.
Minus
Okay.
4
16 times 3.
plus 4. Actually, these cancel each other
Yeah,
out.
but
Like
I
a
just don't
negative 4 and a positive 4 equals 0. So with A, all you have left is that. So you're gonna do A.
Be so smart, Morgan.
That's all those are. Now you're gonna look at B.
So you don't even have to do anything.
So you can write B, and then we're gonna write the exponents. So you have a 4 plus a 3 plus a 3.
Zero.
And that's all you do. So all you're doing is separating, you're multiplying your whole numbers, adding or subtracting each exponent. So that's like what you were doing over here. So you have a 4, because there's no other, everything else is basically just numbers. You don't have any other numbers to subtract. Your x's, you have a 2
Is he being dumb or you
plus a 6, and then the y, there's only the 3. So like on this one, you start with multiplying 2 times 3 times 3 to get your whole number.
I saw that. And then
6 plus 3. 6 times 3 is 8.
What is this?
And then you can do y's or x's, it doesn't matter in order, but if you go by this one, you can add up all your y's. And add or subtract. I'm timing on task behavior, look. That's what I'm using it. But actually, I'm done with it. When we don't write a 1, so you just write the y, that equals 1. Yeah, I mean, you could put a 1 there, but you don't. And then how it's. So x2. And then if you want to check it, your answers are in the back. That makes sense. Those are my notes, so I know how to teach you. All right. Do you understand what to do? Is it making any sense? There's a lot of steps in that. So, but once it clicks, you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is so easy.
You're an idiot.
So like,
Chef Boyardee.
They're just better.
No, they're not. They taste so bad.
Exactly. Spaghettios are better.
No. I always overcook them, and they still taste cold. Disgusting. When you ever try to grate
Your opinion doesn't matter.
SpaghettiOs.
Exactly. Or the hamburger pizza and just tastes like ketchup. We all the tacos.
I only had
Two
two. I never had
tacos.
I had 0 tacos. I didn't have
I have
I had 2
one
slices.
I had two.
Yep.
That's fine. I didn't have a single. I just had chicken. It tastes so bad.
Alright, I'm done with that.
I hate that drawing. Unless it's true.
You've also got two next to it.
There is.
There's one with dripping milk. There's also yes, that is full of. Oh, it's top, amen. Okay, so scratch the third next.
You've heard that.
So just make sure. Where's the third down on the top? It's not negative. Sure, yeah, no worries. Alright, so raise whatever you put on the bottom.
Any negative.
Oh,
Say.
because we got
No, I'm in more.
it's still
Is that positive?
negative 3, I don't know.
Is that
I'll let you live in your body.
When it's negative, you have 3 options.
What did
Negative
you do?
three might
Is that X? So two X,
Negative on the bottom, or negative in the middle. Books are up in the middle. What's a negative by a negative?
Yeah, the other guy.
So you got this option or that.
Because we have two.
When it's just negative, the top.
Oh,
or
you're-
zero.
Give me the fat one.
What's the
Whoa.
other side?
First round? No.
We got X to the 7.
Whatever. It's
All right,
fine.
back up.
Are we eating in here?
Yeah,
I was free at
oh yeah.
Trying to read this out like I didn't. Randy,
Where's my doorkeeper?
where's my
Doorkeeper. Hey, Roland. No, stay in the room. 2 minutes. Okay, you're supposed to get the door. You're supposed to get the door. See what happens? Oh, I trust you. You can ask me. Get this stuff? We got to talk about geometry because we haven't talked in a couple days. I have no idea where. I thought you were at the test or something.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the test.
You're waiting on the test? I thought,
I turned in the practice test.
okay, I will post the test tonight, so we don't need to talk. All right, e-learners, there's no one live here, but if you have any questions, send me a chat or